So Battlefield Firestorm has released, and so far it has divided opinion, as with any new mode in a Battlefield game. From what I can tell so far, there are a lot of people that are pretty happy with what they've got, although most people can pretty much agree on the fact that some things need to be changed in the game, and there are some major sticking points that are preventing people having a lot of fun. That being said, compared to some of the other battle royales that we've seen in the past, this is actually getting off to a good start, and with Battlefield 5 being a game that has continually disappointed, having Firestorm come out in some sort of playable state is really exciting to see, and although it does need some tweaking, I'm happy to say it's quite a lot of fun. In this video, I'm going to give an unbiased review of Firestorm. I will look at the good points, the bad points, and then certain things that I'm on the fence about. I have played the game for quite a while, and I've played Battlefield 5 for a whole lot of time, so I think I'm in a good position to give a review on it, although that being said, the game has only just come out. So if you're on the fence about buying it, maybe it'll be worth looking at a few reviews and a lot of gameplay before you make your mind up. I've also played a lot of other battle royales, pretty much all of them, over the space of 5 years or so, and that allows me to compare Firestorm to those battle royales as well, taking some of the good parts and the bad parts and working out if they're actually as good as people think they are, or whether the broken things are actually that broken. As usual in videos like this, please leave your own opinions and comments down below. I'm interested to see what you have to say, and also it's worth having a look down there as well whilst you're watching the video, because sometimes people post things that I'm not going to be covering in this video that might be of some interest to you. So let's start out positive and take a look at some of the things that I really enjoyed the minute I started playing Firestorm. Firstly, as expected, it looks fantastic. It's one of the best looking battle royales, if not the best looking battle royale out there at the minute, and DICE, or Criterion, have really done a good job at making this game look as good as it possibly can. The Firestorm itself is absolutely superb. It's really awesome watching that thing come in and destroy all the buildings, although if you're sitting in one, it can be a bit frustrating getting killed by debris, but apart from that, it's really nice to see the players who are outside the zone get set on fire and then everything get destroyed in this massive event that is continually crushing part of the map. I think that is really Battlefield-esque, and that's exactly what I was expecting for a battle royale mode like this. The gunplay is also fairly satisfying and the movement is okay. I'm comparing this to PUBG, to be honest, because I think that is Battlefield 5 Firestorm's main competitor, and I feel as if in this game you can get away with a lot more in terms of sliding, jumping, vaulting. The animations are still there, but overall it's quite fluid and it feels good. That's not taking anything away from PUBG. I know that game has a lot of dedicated fans and actually a big competitive scene, whilst Battlefield 5 Firestorm will probably struggle in that regard, but the gunplay is satisfying, and even with the max health going up to 150 and then the armour going up to another 150 I think it is, with the heavy armour, I feel as if the gunplay is still fairly satisfying, and if you have the right guns you can still be super effective. The zone idea is a nice one, and if I remember correctly, Arma had a similar system. It means you can have a large map with lots of variety and different terrain and zones, but only part of it is used in each game, meaning you have to switch up your tactics and you can't just say we're going to drop here every single match. There'll be certain places that aren't in the zone and certain places that are, and this means you'll have a different experience every time you drop in. Transport vehicles are really nice compared to the base game. They've got some extra things in there. You've got the helicopter, which is nice and can be used. It's not completely overpowered, it's just fun to use and it's great to hop around the map in. You've also got all of these different vehicles on flags that enable you to get around from point to point, and this is added into that objective based system that they've put into the game, which means you can get to these objectives fairly quickly. Imagine if you were playing on a large map and you didn't have all of these vehicles here, or you were in really slow vehicles, as we've often seen in Battlefield 5 so far. It would be frustrating. So they've seen that and they've brought in some faster vehicles, fast-paced gameplay, and it's quite interesting. The armor system is something that I did not like at first. However, I feel as if the main issue right now is the fact it's tied into a poor UI design and clunky looting system. The fact you can repair your armor by dropping a new plate in is quite fun. It means that you have to really think about how you're going to heal in engagements, as opposed to certain games like Apex where you can just consistently heal everything you've got and it's really not that difficult to find the shields that you need to keep everything topped up. You have to really think about this in Battlefield 5, and As I say, it is linked into that clunky looting system, and I think that's the main frustration many people are having with it right now. Now moving on to some of the things that I really dislike in the game. Looting is the main one. It's absolutely horrendous how that got through the testing stages without somebody flagging it up and saying that it had to be fixed. I have no idea. Some of the devs have said that they're looking at it, but to be honest, the fact it hasn't been picked up so far is quite disappointing. They should really be going for a loot box system as you get in other games, especially considering the amount of stuff that you can carry on your soldier, and then it's all thrown on the floor with the icons and the information boxes. Check out this little clip in the background as I'm trying to shoot somebody, and because I ADS over the top of loot, I get this stupid information box in my face and then I can't see him. That is ridiculous, shouldn't be in the game, and they need to fix it as soon as possible. The vehicles, such as the tanks, are just not complementing gameplay in my opinion, and it limits the engagement you can have with infantry plays. Now, I'm not just saying tanks are bad in a battle royale. The fact that DICE have tried to introduce a different style of battle royale with vehicles involved is completely fine, and they're not overpowered or anything like that, but they are certainly not what I expected them to be, and I don't really feel as if they're adding much to the experience. Vehicles tend to camp, not only because they're fairly weak against a squad who are carrying Panzerfaust, which are also very easy to find, but I think as if tanks are always at their strongest when they're camping at range, making use of the fact that you're in a big metal box with a big powerful gun. This is very frustrating to play against, and I'm pretty certain that we're going to start seeing some effective tactics, such as one player takes the tank while the other three go and do their stuff. The guy sits on the hill in the tank, doesn't need to drive it, just uses the turret and tries to finish a game, shooting people as they run from cover to cover or just leveling buildings. That being said, you do have limited ammo, limited fuel, and they're not exactly very strong. I just think they're not as fun as they could be. One thing that my friends were complaining about whilst playing Firestorm was related to the cover in the game and the fact that all of it is pretty much destructible. Now personally, I think this is quite nice, and it's a different flavour of Battle Royale. We're not always used to destroying cover in Battle Royale games. Fortnite has it to a certain extent, but other games like Apex and Battle Royale just don't have it at all. And this could be viewed as a positive thing because you have hard cover and you know exactly what you can hide behind and what you can't hide behind, but in Firestorm, virtually everything can be removed. As I said, this has positive and negative effects, so it's depending on what sort of game you're looking for. Do you enjoy blowing stuff up? If that's the case, this is probably for you, but if you get frustrated by things that are a bit random, such as debris and buildings falling on you because someone shot it with a Panzerfaust across the map, that sort of stuff, maybe that'll be a point that prevents you from having a lot of fun in this game. Another thing that I don't agree with having in the game is shooting whilst downed. The reason I don't like this is because it forces people to kill downed players, which is a very frustrating aspect of Battle Royale games. Once you go down, you want your team to pick you back up. That's the whole point of having a down state instead of an insta-kill state. Now if I down somebody in Firestorm, I'm going for the kill immediately because they could have a gun and they could kill me after they go through that initial animation. And then if you're in a position where you're fighting a player who's downed and someone who's still up, you're at a disadvantage. So you always want to finish off that downed player if you can. This is frustrating. It would be much better if they just didn't have a weapon to protect themselves, and then maybe they could be picked back up. And also, I think, personally, I wouldn't want to have it in the game, but some people were saying we want the Apex respawn system in. That's another thing that they could look at having, possibly for the squad game mode. Finally, the last thing that has frustrated me in my first few days of playing is the complete lack of celebration at the end of a game when you win. Half the time I don't even know our team has won. It comes up with a tiny little V for victory at the top of the screen. There's no music, although saying that I do have my music turned off in game, but there's no forced music, forced celebration or anything like that. I really feel as if it needs to be more exciting, a bit more drama, just like PUBG. Come up with a big thing on screen and tell everyone that you have won the game. There are certain things in the game that I am quite on the fence about, and some things need tweaking, and maybe DICE have already started looking into ways to improve the experience. The things that I think need sorting, but I'm not super frustrated about right now. First of all, we've got duos. They need to be in the game at some point or another. They should really be here on release. The amount of people I know, including myself, that just want to play in a pair, especially on a 64-player server, I think that's what the game would excel at, but DICE decided not to put it in. Footsteps are fairly temperamental. Whilst some say their footsteps are fine, others, including myself, are having issues with them. I feel as if they need a little bit of work, especially your friendly footsteps and your squad footsteps being so damn loud compared to everything else. Audio sometimes cuts out, and there is very little verticality with the footsteps. For example, if someone's running above you or beneath you, they sound pretty much as if they're on the same level as you. It's the same in a lot of games. Apex has the same issue, but DICE have sorted this in the past with previous Battlefield games. Maybe they should look into fixing some of the footstep issues with the next patch. Call-ins, I'm not sure they have a place in a Battle Royale. I'm talking about Artillery, the V1 rocket. They're fun, I guess, but just not for me, and it's something that gets quite frustrating in Firestorm, that's for sure. This then links into destruction. It's a big decision from DICE to make everything destructible. You need cover, but at the same time it's nice to blast people out of their camping spots. This is something that you guys can discuss down in the comments. Let me know, do you like this destruction? I think it looks great, but it's very frustrating getting killed by something that you thought you could hide behind and use as hard cover. All the other big Battle Royale games tend to use hard cover very successfully, and that's what really adds to the engagements that you can have, especially building design. It's incredibly important in Battle Royale games. Look at PUBG and the building design in that game. It's very, very clever indeed. Same with Apex. But with Battlefield, it does seem a little bit different because you can just blast open a building with the many different explosives that you can pick up very easily on the game, and it just completely changes stuff and makes it a bit of a free-for-all. Also, one extra thing I want to add on the end. Is it just me, or does anyone else feel as if the map is fairly empty and not much happens for a lot of the time? I'm not saying that the game needs to be 120 players or something crazy, but 64 players on this server does seem a little low, and I feel as if maybe DICE should be thinking about upping that to 100, which is a number that we've come to expect with this sort of game. I do feel as if having a few more players, maybe upping it to 80 or something like that, could be very nice for everybody, assuming they can make it work without completely tanking the FPS. Thanks for watching. Remember to leave your opinions down in the comments. I'll reply to as many as I can and check back in on the video after a day or so and see how everything's going. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.